So, as goes on, we seem to see people becoming less and less happy with their lives and what they have and so on and so forth. And the question is, of course, why? Well, that's a good question. Maybe one of the answers will be understanding what happens internally inside of us. So, for example, let's say there is a new item on the market. Until that point, I was perfectly fine not having it. Let's say, for example, a telephone. Let's say there is a certain telephone that just came out, that does this or does the other thing. Until that point, I was fine. Now I started to want it. I want it. I was told that I wanted. I was created that motion that I wanted. I created a certain noise inside of me that wants that item. So in order to quiet that noise, I go ahead and buy it. Not necessarily that I needed it, but I go ahead and buy it. We create a lot of noises in ourselves that are unnecessary, that create us want and want and want, and we are never happy because those noises keep on coming up inside of us. Buy it, oh you need 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 it. And that in return makes us very unhappy. When you look at people, even 50 years ago, we're very happy with what we had. The difference between, let's say, us and people that lived 50 years ago, and then you take the people who lived 50 years ago, if you compare that gap, it will be 200 years back for them. There is such a mentality of I have to have it that basically is that internal voice that does not stop, and it's like a pit that just keeps on vibrating, an echo that keeps vibrating that tell us you're not happy, you're not happy, you're not happy. If you're able to quiet that noise and actually look at what you have and those little things that you have, you'll see that you are much better off like this. For example, let's say a person works very hard. It works, unfortunately everybody's got to work. You got to make a living. Maybe in the olden days we used to work for our needs. If you want to eat something, you got to grow it and so on and so forth. We're not talking about this. You got to work. You have to have some money. You got to work. So let's say you have 2 weeks vacations off. So what happens at 2 vacations off? It's like, okay, what are we doing now? So you go into this crazy vacation. You go into, I don't know, whatever it is that you go, and it has to be big and it has to have a lot of noise to it and a lot of buzz to it, and you're coming back and you're still empty. Where people beforehand, what they used to do, let's say they go on vacation, let's say for argument's sake, let's say you go on vacation, and he says, okay, in the morning, in the summer, I'll go to the beach, I'll come back home, I'll rest a little bit, I'll go for a walk, I'll go to the museum, I'll spend some time in the city, I'll do, for example, what tourists does, everybody comes to New York, so I'll be a tourist in New York, I'll go to museums, I'll go to restaurants, I'll relax, I'll kind of enrich myself, I would fill myself with positive noises. But when I say, well, that's not good enough for me, I will have to do more. I will have to go to Acapulco. I'll have to go to the Dominican Republic and then just drop dead from the alcohol. I will have to do all these crazy things. I have to go on cruises. And the cruise has to get bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. In other words, you're getting yourself into a habit of never being happy. And this is something that is absolutely in your control. When you're going to look at the bottom line of what is it that you really need, what would really make you happy? When we go to a funeral of somebody and we hear the eulogy, we never hear about the person, this man, he was a billionaire, he made $100 million a year, he made this, he drove a Ferrari, this person owned a Lamborghini. We never hear those things. What do we say? He was a good man. He was a good father, she was a good mother, he cared about the people, and so on and so forth. That's the bottom line, that's what it is. That's what they're going to say about you. They're not going to say, this man, he had hundreds of women, or this woman had hundreds of men. You're never going to hear those things. Nobody's going to say it, not for crying out loud, not in a funeral. When I say it was a good family man, she was a good mother, she was a good, and so on and so forth. So that's really the bottom. That's what you would like to, If you want to insult somebody, what's the biggest insult? You gotta tell somebody, oh, you're a shrewd businessman. Oh, thank you so much, I appreciate it. But if you gotta tell somebody, regardless of how mean it is, you're a lousy father, that will hurt. So what is the thing that you really would take real pride, honest pride with you to the grave? These are the things that you should pay attention to. What do you need? 3/4, if not 90% of the things you have, you don't really need it. The only reason why you bought it is to quiet this noise inside of you. So instead of doing that, do something meaningful. For example, I heard about this woman who's spending close to $20 million for preserve her husband in such a way that he'll be able to, if it's going to be Tchiyat HaMeitim, resurrection of the dead will come. Yeah, he died when he's, 40, you're going to live to 90. He's going to take you your old rag, like this. Because it's going to be a miracle. But why is that? So she's spending the money. Take this money and just give it to poor people. Or do something positive with it. Take your resources, do something positive with it. But we don't think about this thing. It's this emptiness that echo inside of us. So instead of letting these voices echo inside of you to the way that they become your demon, these are the demons of our days. They haunt you, the voices that you hear all the time. Buy it, buy it. Buy it, buy it. You need it, you need it. You don't need it. You think about it, you don't need it. Like for example, if I see a tractor, a nice green, sexy green tractor, right? I'm going to buy it because it's 50% off. How about 90% off on a great deal on a tractor? 0% for 20 years. Well, what in the world do I need a tractor for? I wish I had a need for it, but what do I need it for? So I'm not going to buy it. But why did I buy it? Well, because. Or it's that the fancy car and so on and so forth. Why do I need all these things? I don't need it. It's just an indication that something is echoing inside of me. There's great emptiness that I try to fill it up with substance so it won't be so empty. So the voices would not echo so loud inside of me. It's like screaming into this great canyon of or what you call the self, which is not as gorgeous and awesome as the Grand Canyon. You're screaming, hello, your life is empty, T. Right? And therefore you're going to do all these things. So instead of that, just fill that emptiness in your life with meaning in your life. And what meaning will be with your life? Spend time with your wife, spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, learn something, accomplish things. People tell me, Rabbi, I want to do this huge lesson argument like Baba Batra Masechta. I said, don't do it. Why? Start with the small Masechta. Do the Ta'anit and the Megillah and the Chagigah and all the small Masechtot. You finish, you're building your endurance, you feel meaning. Whoa, that's great. I'm finished.
What's 15 plus 7?
Not like, oh, this is so big, I can't do it, so you drop it. And then you feel empty. So when you feel empty, what do you have to do? You have to buy something. And usually you have to buy something. We work in order to spend. We should work in order to live, but we work in order to spend. Why do you need this for? That's a very bad way to live life. Look at what you need. Even if you go to your closets, how many shirts you have there? I don't know, 20 shirts. Why in the world do you need 20 shirts? So reduce it to 10. Give the other 10 to tzedakah, to some, somebody to wear it, or give it away, or throw it away. And wear 10 shirts. Appreciate every shirt you have. Most of the time, piling up and you're sending it to the dry cleaners to clean up. What do you need it for? How many shoes do you need? Take the best shoes and wear. Let's say you need a pair of shoes, one for the summer, one for the winter. I'm being generous here. One for Shabbat, a pair of sneakers, and that's it. 4 pairs of shoes. You're good to go. Why do you need 50 pairs of shoes? What are you, Malda Markets?
Now, how many seconds he said that?
And so on and so forth. What gives you most meaning? Most of the time, sense of giving to others, sharing, contributing, accomplishing. That's what gives you meaning in your life. And you will see that most people do anything but that. That most people have no meaning in their lives. And when you have no meaning in your life, you become very unhappy. Getting a big job that will make you a lot of money is not. It's just a more opportunity for you to spend the money, and you're going to work more and so on and so. You're working for your lifestyle. You're not working for your life. So you could live, so you can spend time, you can do things that are meaningful. People don't do that. So contribute from yourself, contribute, give,
This is beautiful stuff.
accomplish, and simplify your life. These are at least 4 things that can make a big difference in terms of your happiness and meaning in your life. Have a good day.